Please join us on our cross-country trip in the winter of 2015-2016. We left Springville at 5:30 a.m. on December 15th and drove all the way to Gallup, New Mexico. The next day, near Amarillo, Texas, we stopped at the famous Cadillac Ranch. As an artistic statement meant to symbolize the great age of automobiles, 10 mid-century Cadillacs were collected and buried nose first at the same angle. After a few years, visitors began to deface the cars with graffiti. Instead of trying to figure out a way to stop the vandalism, the owner of the property encouraged the practice. The ground around the cars is littered with empty spray cans as people from all over the world come here to leave their mark. When viewed at close range, the ever-changing surfaces of the Cadillacs take on the look of an abstract painting. Just outside of Oklahoma City, on Old Route 66, we came across Pops, a soda-themed restaurant and gas station. This bottle is 66 feet tall and illuminated at night. They feature over 700 different flavors of soda, including such tasty treats as bacon soda and buffalo wing soda. 4 days and exactly 2,800 miles later, we arrived at my dad's place in Whiting, New Jersey. While at dinner one night with Mark and Joellen Vlasic, one of the wheels on my father's walker came off. The only way we could get him to the car was to support him by way of this conga line. For the first time in quite a while, we were all able to be together for Christmas Day at Tom and Laurel's house in Central Valley, New York. This fine-looking young man is my nephew's son, Keith. And this is his beautiful sister, Leah. As always, Laurel had the house decorated beautifully. The joy and spirit of Christmas was truly in the air. We left New Jersey the day after Christmas and headed to Cincinnati for a brief stop to celebrate the 60th birthday of Ginny's brother, Mike. Following the party, we spent a day in the Red River Gorge area of Kentucky with Jenny's sister Rosemary, Bob, and their son Eric. Then, continuing south, we ran into the original Colonel Sanders Fried Chicken restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky. We outfitted the Colonel with appropriate headgear just in case we want to use him for an upcoming Christmas card. Our southerly route took us to the far western end of the Florida Panhandle. It was New Year's Eve day, and we spent a little time driving around Pensacola, then out to Gulf Island's National Seashore, which is administered by the National Park Service. A prominent feature of this area is historic Fort Pickens, which was constructed in 1834 to protect the port of Pensacola. This facility was unique for its time in that gun batteries were spread over a wide area rather than being bunched together. Here, I am standing on one of those batteries with Pensacola Bay in the background. And these are a few interior shots of the fort. As was the case for much of this trip, it was raining heavily during our visit to Fort Pickens. In 1899, a fire led to an explosion of the fort's magazine, which contained 8,000 pounds of gunpowder. The force of the explosion was so great that bricks from Pickens landed across the bay a mile and a half away. The Gulf of Mexico. Ginny came across this photo on the Roadside America website, and we decided to take a detour to Alberta, Alabama in order to see her. The artist was Mark Klein, and it is called The Lady in the Lake. When we got to the area where the lady was supposed to be, we were told that she was currently in a local marina getting her barnacles scraped, so we went there. The marina is owned by a wealthy man named George Barber, who not only commissioned The Lady in the Lake, but also several other unique sculptures. Here, Ginny poses with a giant metal spider. Also located on the property surrounding the marina were three large installations, all created by Mark Klein, the fellow who gave us The Lady in the Lake. This is a life-sized fiberglass replica of Stonehenge and appropriately named Bamahenge. One area of the property is called Nights in the Woods and has a Knights of the Round Table theme. Unfortunately, we did not get any pictures. And the woods were also filled with a variety of creatures from the Jurassic period. This side trip turned out to be more than we bargained for. After narrowly escaping the dinosaurs of Alberta, we spent New Year's Eve in Mobile, Alabama. On New Year's Day, we meandered along the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and Louisiana. Vacant lots right on the shoreline were everywhere. These lots represented places where homes had been devastated by storms such as Katrina and never rebuilt upon. Nearly all of the homes that were located in this area were built high on pilings. A random waterfront shot. Just had to take this picture. At a visitor center just inside Mississippi, we came across this replica of a lunar lander. And later that day, we entered the Lone Star State. As we were moving across Texas, we decided to make another detour and head south to Crystal City. During World War II, there was a prisoner of war camp for captured German soldiers at Crystal City, and a relative of Ginny's spent a number of years there. It was, as usual for this trip, pouring rain, and we could not find anyone to tell us anything about the POW camp, but we did learn that it is known as the spinach capital of the world. Fittingly, there's a statue of Popeye on display in front of City Hall. We next drove north to Del Rio, Texas, and spent the night camped near a reservoir. This bridge crosses the Pecos River. The color of the water really caught our attention. While making our way through the southern part of the state, on our way to Big Bend National Park, we stopped in Langtree, the former home of Judge Roy Bean, the only law west of the Pecos. Bean was a colorful character of the Old West, and his story is well preserved in this truly remote area. Several of the original buildings have been salvaged, and it was an interesting stop. As everyone knows, Texas is a very big state, and it took a while, but we finally arrived at Big Bend National Park, a place we've wanted to visit for a long time. The park is located in southwest Texas along the border with Mexico, where the Rio Grande River makes a big bend. The landscape at Big Bend ranges from low-lying desert plains to jagged mountain peaks. This formation is called mule ears for obvious reasons. And this was our campground. There were signs posted around the camp area warning that javelinas were common visitors and to keep all food well secured. We had never seen javelinas. That changed on our first morning at Big Bend. We awoke to a fairly large pack or troop, or whatever the proper term is, foraging in the campground. These little red-capped birds were also prevalent near the camp. More Big Bend country. This tunnel is very close to the Rio Grande. On the other side of the river, you can make out a small village in Mexico. This unattended display was filled with handmade souvenirs. There was a price list and a sign asking people to please put money into a jar if they took anything. We purchased a small scorpion made of twisted copper wire and colored beads. As we were leaving, we saw several men in a small boat coming across the river to get the money from the jar. On long road trips, you learn to spot signs such as this from a long ways away. Spotted this truck while gassing up one day. It was Texas personified. This was taken at Guadalupe Mountains National Park, which is just south of Carlsbad Caverns. This, unfortunately, is our only picture from Carlsbad Caverns. We had left our cameras in the truck, and the folks in the visitor center said if we wanted to do the complete tour of the caverns, we needed to leave immediately, as they stop letting people in fairly early so they can be sure everyone is out by closing. To get to the main rooms, you walk down a very steep set of switchbacks 800 feet into the earth. It was a spectacular sight. Wish we had pictures to share. From Carlsbad, we drove north to Roswell, New Mexico. While not a flying saucer enthusiast, I've always been interested in the Roswell incident of 1947, where an alien craft allegedly crashed into a field near town. Again, allegedly, the machine and its occupants were recovered by government officials and transported to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and there the whole affair was hushed up. The city has capitalized on this story, and everywhere you go, you see images of space aliens. Even the local McDonald's is saucer-themed. Looks like these strange earthlings were being served up by this alien. Roswell has several, quote, museums that are filled with rooms and dioramas depicting alien life. The one we went to was called Area 51, and here are some of the displays. An alien selfie. A non-alien selfie. These pictures provide clues as to our 2016 Christmas cards. The displays were about as hokey as you could ever imagine, but we had a fun time. From Roswell, the next stop was White Sands National Monument. On the way, we ran into some snow on a mountain pass. Couldn't pass up this photo op, the world's biggest pistachio. Here we are at White Sands. The park is located within the boundaries of the White Sands Missile Range, a somewhat scary proposition. The following photos were taken within the park. After White Sands, we struck out for our final destination of the trip, Organ Pipe National Monument in southernmost Arizona. Just west of Tucson, we encountered some extremely heavy rains. Wherever the road crossed a wash, the water was running fast and deep on the roadway. The monument is located right on the border, and Border Patrol agents and checkpoints are everywhere. Organ Pipe Monument gets its name from the tall cactus of the same name found in the region. The camping facilities were first-rate, and the views from the campground spectacular. These signs were posted throughout the monument. Here are more views of the landscape. This is a pretty magical place. This brings us to the sunset of our winter 2015-2016 cross-country trip. Thanks for taking the time to watch our slideshow, and we hope you enjoyed it.